we are now going to have a discussion a time where we can talk about the video that Susan made about 2-3 months ago. I know when I watched it, I ended up having some questions that I wanted to bring up, but we'll start. So if everyone could, if anyone wants to ask a question or make a comment or anything about it, you can unmute yourself. And Susan, definitely you unmute yourself because you'll probably be answering more of this than anybody else.
Okay.
Anybody have anything to say?
Okay, I have a comment, and I didn't quite get the whole thing through, but I really like the concept that you presented, Susan, that the ascension was inverted, that instead of us going up, that the that actually we merge. We merge with, I don't have the words right now, but I love that concept that it emerges with us to become whole, to become one.
Could you elaborate on that a little bit too? That process.
I'm sorry, honey, did you just say me? Or were you talking to Carol?
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, not Carol. What Carol said, could you kind of explain that just a little bit more, the concept?
Thank you. Let me make sure that I'm understanding what you were saying, Carol. The inversion of when we are here, we perceive that we're connecting up, right? That we're connecting. When, just as we're doing with Sydney's exercise, it's all just merging. So it's not just that it's like when a medium connects, right? The medium raises their vibration, spirit lowers theirs. So it's not just that we're going up. The inversion is in part a process of the oneness. So also the inversion, meaning going in, right, to the truth of us. And again, Carol, can you clarify a little bit more of specifically what you're talking about?
No, I think that you explained it. It's something that you were talking about in your video, maybe about halfway through, that the ascensions. Yeah, what you said, it's not us going up, it's the merging. And I like that concept.
Okay. Yeah, because again, we perceive as in separation. And so the truth of us is just consciousness and energy, the omnipresence of us, we can connect and merge with all. It's just a matter of intention. And so when we merge in the collective matrix of the one I am, there is no separation. So it's that, it always goes back to the perception of if we're still perceiving in separation versus in the oneness. And of course, the goal is to retrain the human mind, and this experience we are having. In the big picture, it's an illusion, but as we're experiencing it, it's not an illusion. So again, it's tricky for the human consciousness to totally understand. But I think it boils down to the truth that there is no separation, the truth that we are aspects of the one in expression, in our beingness as source. What was explained is that spirit is, say, father, source is mother. We're here having an experience as God, Father, Creator, Spirit, and the goal is to be able to be in our beingness as Creator, Father, in Spirit, but hone the truth of us with all of the density that we're experiencing. That's the stretching of consciousness, so that we stay in the source, mother's isness of source, which is just loving light. So no matter what's happening outside of us that we're perceiving is happening outside of us, which is really more of just a projection of our human consciousness within that separation, but to always choose love and to stay in a peaceful state, a balanced state of source mother, as we're expressing as Father Creator, Spirit. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. And it goes into what you said, and this has been important in my life. It was love in spite of, keep the door open, love in spite of. And yeah, that's been important in my life.
Yes. Yep. And it can be so challenging, as we're in our reality of this separation. And when things that we're perceiving are being done to us, when it's all divine plan, it's all in accordance with what our soul's evolution has chosen to experience, to stretch the consciousness so that evolution can continue to evolve. It's all so very purposeful. And again, we're always allies in action. So even, Carol, if you do something that Susan the human would perceive is hurtful, we're here to remember it's all part of Mother, Father. It's all part of the evolution of consciousness. And the more challenging that it is, and the consciousness within the human, and all of the density, the polarity, the separation, everything that we're experiencing, that is also part of the divine plan, so that consciousness is able to evolve. The more that we're challenged, the harder it seems, and the more we're able to stay balanced and peaceful and loving and light-filled, the more it mirrors to us that evolution, that honing heaven upon earth within the physical being of Father Creator as Mother Source, loving light.
Thank you.
I have a question, but I'm not sure there is an answer, but I'll ask it anyhow.
Okay.
You speak about ISB and the merging of the male-female into androgyny. And as we look in our society, we see transgenderism happening, which it was there to some point, but it seems to be much more prominent now, or more people are experiencing it. And then you speak about reaching a point where the vibration is so high that everyone who's not in that frequency will get sucked up, and the merging takes place and evolution will take place. So my question is, when that happens, what will happen? Will we still have physical bodies? Will we have spiritual bodies? Will our spiritual bodies be androgynous? Babies be created through thought? Is there any way to describe what will happen when we're in this new paradigm, or will that be figured out once we get there?
We will still have physical bodies. Okay? Because it's not going to change that we're human, having that human experience. But the truth of us in the big picture is that we are Mother, Father, God, Creator, Source, Mother, Father, Creator. The androgyny is the merging of both, meaning Susan is incarnated in this lifetime in a female body. The more that Mother Source of isness and Father Creator of beingness merges within the human consciousness, so that the soul aspect of us is imbuing more and more and more within the physical experience. That's the androgyny that they're speaking of. So it's the beingness of Mother's isness. No matter what we're doing in action of Father Creator, again, it goes back to that balanced inequality state of consciousness. The seed of all creation, of Source, is love and light of Mother. The transgender that you're talking about, there was confusion within the transgender community years ago, where, and there still is to some degree. I think that we'll find that it will again evolve. Someone that is in a female body that doesn't identify at all in their physical vehicle has what humans call a sex change, right? And they take hormones and everything to change the physical, which is understandable in the human. However, there's the androgyny.
Mhm.
Organically, the way that that individual is birthed into the physical, the androgyny is already there, right? So let's say that, let's use me. So here I am, Susan, and I'm incarnated in a physical body. But let's say that I am really identify more as male. So I go to change my physical to match the way that my consciousness naturally wants to express. To just be loving and love self exactly how I am. Because in that equation, in that example, in this example, I'm already in perfection because I am the androgyny. Does that make sense? Are you following it?
Yes.
And so to try again, it's the human societal judgment within our separation, within our human perception, that we are programmed to assimilate so that we feel okay, so we feel normal. We don't understand that in that situation, I'm already normal. I'm more than normal than the human can even understand, because I am the physical embodiment of the androgyny as consciousness.
Okay.
right? So, Sydney, let's use you. I'll try and go around a little bit so we can elaborate a little bit more. So, Sydney, you are in a male, physical, incarnated, physical body.
Right.
But let's say that you feel the energy, the consciousness, the imbuing as consciousness more so in the feminine expression, okay?
Mhm.
There's the equality. There is the androgyny that is manifested in a physical vehicle as consciousness. Does that make sense?
Yes. So what, if I could summarize what you're saying, that eventually the identity of being male and female is going to disappear because we're actually going to be androgynous. Even though physically we might have the organs of one or the other, but there won't be this role, the male role, the female role. It'll just be.
Yes, because there will be no separation, you
Right.
see? Because to perceive as male or female is separate.
Right.
I've got to be one or the other. When the truth is, we are both in equality in the androgyny of mother father. You see? So, as consciousness, there is no separation. So, the answer is yes. We will just be in our beingness, in our expression as Father Creator / Spirit, right? As the seed of all of creation, which always bursts back to Mother Source. Because without Mother Source, there never would have been Father Creator.
Okay. And what you're saying is that eventually people will not feel they need to change their bodies. They will just live their existence the way they feel.
Yes. And also, more importantly, the collective will not suppress them to feel that they have to change.
Okay.
Right? It's kind of like, think about how far gay and lesbians have come. And I think that we talked about this in the collaboration, and it's being brought up again, where, and it's interesting because I think it's this weekend, isn't it, that like companies are celebrating Pride and
Last weekend, yeah.
right? There's like the real acceptance of honoring gay and lesbians, transgenders, all of it. However, it's come to the point where to celebrate Pride, to still have Pride marches and things like that, is the old paradigm. Evolution has happened enough where gay and lesbians are being accepted. We don't have to keep fighting. They don't have to keep fighting to be acknowledged as equal, because the more that they do, the more that they're anchoring in the separation. We are the gay and lesbians, and you are the heterosexuals. There's the separation. So the more pride marches that we continue to have, it anchors in the consciousness still of separation. And it's not necessary. It's the old paradigm. So in time, that we'll see, that will also be part of the outer manifestation of evolution as consciousness. Right? And think about it. Think about how the companies are celebrating now. They're honoring pride. They're honoring gay and lesbians, and they're advertising and marketing. We support. So there is part of the evolution that's manifesting on the outer, and yet it still is anchoring more of the separation, but it's evolution. It's not evolution. So what we're seeing on the outer is beautiful. It just hasn't caught up the way that it will in answering your question. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
It's very difficult, as you know, Sydney, to bring this into human understanding, to verbiage it so that it makes sense for the human. The binary, that came up in collaboration, right?
Mhm.
So it went from gay and lesbians to transgenders, to now binary, right? And that is where people are just being. There is no correction within the physical.
You're talking about gender fluid.
What is it?
Gender fluid.
Gender fluid? I don't know all the verbiage, but
Yeah, that's the term they're using.
okay. And so I love that. Feel that. Feel gender fluid. As consciousness, feel it. Don't think about it, but feel it. And what does that feel like?
When you refer to consciousness, would you please simplify that term for me?
Simplify consciousness?
Would you please?
Tell me what feels complicated about it to you, Ian?
What is the definition of consciousness?
It's an expression of source, mother, and father creator. The expression of. It's a consciousness of mother's isness and father's beingness.
If I could just interject for a second.
Absolutely.
When going years back when I was working with Carl and A1, and A1 would talk about your soul is an isness. And I would, in my intellectual left brain person that I am anchored in, I was having a very difficult time. I couldn't understand that. And I would, every session, I would ask A1 to define isness. And eventually I stopped because I wasn't really getting an answer and it wasn't getting clear, but yet somehow I was getting an understanding of it non-verbally. You know, I couldn't express it. And now I use it all the time and I don't even think about it. You know, it is. So sometimes we get caught up in the words because that's the way we have been taught to be, that everything has a meaning and so forth. And we need to, sometimes you just need to like let it go. That's the easiest way, just to kind of accept it. And as the more you hear the word used, you kind of absorb the meaning of it. And I have the same problem with the word consciousness. I don't quite get it either, even all this time. I still don't get it. But it's like the word isness and the word consciousness. I just kind of roll with it. And I even use it now, you know, to some extent. But if you really wanted me to define what it is, it's not there. I don't have the verbiage for it. But yet, it's almost like I understand the vibration of it in a sense. It's like it's a very nebulous term, and I guess I've become accustomed to being in that nebulous situation with these words and not looking for it to be, I got to know exactly what it is. But it was a process for me to work through that. That's why I'm sharing this story with you. And it definitely was with anyone in business. I would say it took a year and a half for me to advance that.
Thank you. That's helpful. And thank you, Susan.
Yes. And expounding a little bit, thank you, Sydney, on what you were saying is when you shared about the term, when I said binary and you said a term and I said, what is it? And you said gender fluid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I love that. Feel that.
Right.
Don't think about it, but feel that. That's consciousness. There's a good example. Okay. So in other words, when we think and we process about it, that's more through the human. When we feel, like Igma said years ago, the time has come where the saying, let me think about this, is expired. It's way expired. We're in now the times of let me feel about this. How does this feel? And that's where we remember and we reconnect with our true north as soul, right? So as an example, tree consciousness. To connect with tree consciousness, it's not in the thinking about it. It's simply just the intention of connecting with tree consciousness as consciousness. Okay?
Got it.
Does that help a little bit?
Very
Yeah.
much so. Thank you.
It's more of the feeling of the consciousness of. So the consciousness really is more about, and actually, Sydney, you used good verbiage, the resonance, the frequency, the feeling, how it connects with you as consciousness to consciousness.
I got it. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. No, thank you, because it's hard bringing it into the human verbiage. So this is beautiful. Yes. Yes. Mm. You know that a lot resonate, and there's a lot of information about soul contracts that a lot of different people and channels and spiritual teachers talk about. My understanding is, yes, in agreement, in an alignment, I should say, with things that I've heard. But to remember, when we're able within our human to identify this is a spiritual contract that my soul chose to experience, right? And it's not always just with another person. It could be challenging to be in specific energies or environments, or an array of possibility within all possibility. But when it really feels challenging, know that it is a spiritual contract. When we're going through whatever we're going through, and it's like, it feels like, oh my God, this is just challenging me. Like my consciousness is getting stretched, right? Where I'm really uncomfortable. That is the golden nugget of opportunity. That is what your soul chose to challenge and stretch the consciousness as soul, not just as Susan the human, or Anne the human, Carol the human, Sydney the human, Lavera the human, all of us the human. right? So the more that we are stretched, that we are perceiving like, oh my God, whew, right? Just take those breaths, rebalance, and know that this is like the golden nugget of opportunity to really invert, right? Invert to that experience and go in, roll up the sleeves and go in purposefully. Don't just allow it, like don't just breathe through it and go, it's okay. I'll tell you my new mantra, because my experiences of stretching of consciousness has been, like a lot of people, my own individual experiences. It has been full on for so long, to the nth degree, to every aspect of my being, all at the same time. And more and more and more, I have found myself in the last, I want to say, definitely 2 months, if not a little bit sooner, where there's like, I'll give you an example. I just arrived back at Maine after having to sell my condo, being away from the house for 1.5 years. When I got here, there was, I knew there was a insurance claim, mold and water damage. When I got here, after having to pack up the condo and drive, 1,700 miles to get here, my house here was Grey Gardens. Nature just took over, and it was so overwhelming to have to deal, to have to keep doing, to have to keep processing stuff, moving stuff, packing stuff, unpacking stuff, all physical, right? In the beingness, in the action of Father. So there's the challenge. And there's the golden nugget of opportunity for me to hone the androgyny of Mother Source in and as Father Creator's beingness, action, expression. My new mantra is, it's okay. It's okay. Everything's okay. Because the challenges are so just relentless. I went out to do the lawn. The lawn was probably about 3 feet high. I had to start doing it in like the blade really, really high. I did the lawn 3 times in the same day, little by little by little. So I go out, I go to get the riding lawnmower going. It won't start. It's okay. Everything's okay. Everything's okay. For a millisecond, it's like, oh, but then it's like, no, it's okay. It's okay. Everything's okay. I get it charged up. I go and do something different, which I'm learning. There's the balance, right? Okay, so you can't do this. What else can you do? So don't stay here stuck in the, oh my God, I can't believe, right? Just keep the flow of consciousness, right? The fluidity and the flow, the fluidity. Went and did something else. Okay, good. It's ready to go. Get it going. Get the van out. Get it out there, and I'm going, and I'm having a blast. I mean, I'm like a little kid on a go-kart, and I'm zipping all around, and I'm in nature, and I'm in my bliss. And I'm driving so fast, I get to the embankment that's pretty steep, and I put the brakes on, right? And it stalls out. And again, for a millisecond, I went, oh, and then I'm like, no, it's okay. Everything's okay. It's okay. Everything's okay. We got this. Took some breaths. Tried to start it. Wouldn't start. Sat there for a couple of minutes. Everything's okay. Look at how beautiful this day is. right? Just in the presence. I get off, I lift up the hood, I'm checking the battery terminal wires, and I check the ignition wire and, put it down, get back on. As soon as I sat back down, I got it. I've lost weight again. The way that it is on the embankment, I don't have enough weight so that it's releasing the seat protector thing, right?
Right.
So I'm like, oh, okay, I know this is what it is. I'm not even going to like try and turn it on because I know it's not going to start. So I go, okay, what do we got to do? I need some weight. So I look and they've got sandbags and big signs out front for road work. So I go over and I'm like, I go to lift it. And again, I'm so weak now. I've lost so much weight. My body mass and everything is just not there. I couldn't budge the thing. So I'm like, okay, well, we can't do that. So what else can we do? But I'm in the excitement now. I'm in the excitement. I'm in the flow. So I have a rock wall. So I got a boulder as much as I could, carry it without hurting myself. Got a blanket, put it on the seat, put the boulder on the blanket on the seat, climbed up on the boulder. So I'm way up on the seat. Turn it, starts right up. And it's like, yes, right? And then I'm so then in another hour and a half, an hour or so later, I'm zipping around and everything. I'm back in the move and the groove, and I'm just having a blast in my bliss. And all of a sudden I go to brake again, and some of the lawn had washed sand onto the lawn. It was all uneven. So I stopped, I put it in reverse to go in reverse, and my back right tires just spinning. There wasn't even a millisecond. It might have been a myth, but not a milli. It was a myth of just a myth of awe. And it was like, everything's okay. It's okay. And I'm in the excitement that I'm going to figure this out. And I'm in the presence of it. Doesn't matter what's happening because I'm just in the isness, in the beingness, right? I'm in the peace. I'm in the love. So it took me almost an hour, but I knew I needed a shovel. And I actually looked down, and my tire is up in the air because it's washed out so much. It's not even on the ground. So long story short, process. Got myself out, and I let out the biggest yes. My grandmother came through about 5, 4, 7, 6 minutes prior to me getting out and said, "Don't give up." And I said right out loud, "Oh, I'm not giving up. We got this. We got this." And sure enough, right after she came through, it came to the point where I was able to back out and continued. But there's just some, it's like the more, so I'm still at times, I'm in the, oh, come on, but not as much. Most of the time now, I'm in the middle of, oh, and then it's okay. And some moments, it's just right into it's okay. Everything's okay. So the more that I'm in mother's isness within father's beingness and action and manifestation and expression, there's the androgyny. There's the balance of mother-father within the human experiment of stretching of consciousness, where we just stay in that balanced state in the androgyny. Doesn't matter if we're male or female. When we talk androgyny, it doesn't matter because we're both male and female, left side of our brain, right side of our brain, and so on and so forth. But I hope that helps. So.
Thank you.
I need to adopt a little of that. A lot of that.
I didn't hear you, honey. What did you say?
I need to adopt a lot of that.
Oh, yes. Yep. Well, that's what was happening. That's why I was a little bit late because there's just so much to do here. Oh my God. The pool is flooding. I have trees that are starting to grow off the top of it, like little trees. So, because we've had so much rain here, I have to drain the water out. So I got the pump out, the sump pump. I got the hose. You know, it took me a while to find everything because I haven't been here for a year and a half. And again, there was challenges, and I knew that at 4 p.m. we had this, and I'm trying to get that going. So that's going while I'm doing this, and I had the laundry going, and this and this and this. And again, there was challenges, but it's like, it's okay. It's all okay. It's gonna be fine. Everything's okay. So, yeah. So when it comes to that, when we're feeling that, oh my gosh, know that is prime real estate as consciousness, to just breathe through it, be in the flow, and be the divine being that we are. Yeah.
Very good. Wow.
Any other questions? I would love for you guys to have some. Was it hard to understand when you guys watched it and listened to it? Was it hard to follow?
It was for me, but that's me.
Yeah,
But it's
no,
getting better with all the clarification.
yeah. I so appreciate the transparency, because that's really what we need. Because again, to put the publishing of consciousness out, there has been, throughout our collaboration, it's Sandy and Sydney being who and where they are. It's been challenging for them as well. And so there's a good read, right? So the more that we get the feedback, the more that we're able to articulate it. And that's why the questions are so important, so that, like, what is consciousness? It was a great question. And again, like you said, Sydney, it is nebulous. I mean, it's even nebulous as you're asking it. But as the sharing continues, then more clarity comes. So thank you. Thank you.
I was telling Sid that I feel like I'm on kindergarten level, so, but I'm getting there. It's getting easier and better every time. But I
Good.
really like the explanations. It made a lot of sense. So thank you.
Good. This is being recorded, right? Because I probably won't remember the explanation. So yeah. You know, I have I've been pulled back just recently as I'm resting to some experiences that I audio recorded back in March. Just unbelievable experiences, things that I had completely forgotten about. And that's why I always try, and there are times when I sleep and I wake myself up because I'm channeling out loud, and it wakes me up, and then I have my phone there and I put the recorder on. And some of these were that. And at times, even for me, even though I'm channeling it, when it's just me and I'm listening back to it, it's fuzzy. It's like, what? But then it starts connecting and gelling again. So it's dense. It's definitely dense. So no more questions? Come on, guys, give me some questions. No? Okay.
Yes, we're questioned out today.
Okay, that's all right. That
But,
is okay.
but I thank you for sharing your lawnmower experience, because that is very insightful and helpful when we run into frustrations, which we all do. And yeah, I tend to get really grounded in that. I got to learn not to. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's really helpful.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, because again, the more, right? So the human me goes, oh my God, when is this going to stop? I mean, it's just relentless. It's just one thing after another, 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 as I'm having to, and I'm seeing you guys, you know, some of you shake your head. And I know I'm not the only one going through this. I know it's the collective. Just in our own individual experiences, we're all experiencing this because that is the evolution, the ascension of human consciousness. So I know I'm not the only one experiencing it, but it's been unbelievable. It really has. And so without that relentlessness, how can we polish that grace? Right? So if we can think of it that way, the relentlessness is the opportunity to polish our grace, our divine grace of Mother's isness. It's okay. Everything's okay. It's okay. It's like boot camp. It feels like boot camp, doesn't it? Oh my goodness gracious.
Anyhow,
Hmm.
I'm going to, I need a quick break and then I'll be right back. So Susan, if you want to keep talking for a little bit, go right ahead.
Yeah, I would love for you guys, if you want, to share some of your own, what you would identify as that stretching of consciousness in your own lives. Just a couple of examples. Anybody? That just, it's feeling really challenging.
Not while we're recording.
Not while we're recording. Okay. Okay. Transparency. Transparency. See, there's the human, right? There's the stretching of consciousness for me to now say there's transparency, and it's okay to just be. It's okay, right? It's okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I kind of always look at life, you know, when you're trying to reach your goals, you just about to cross the finish line or cross over the fence, and then something pulls at your ankle and throws you back down, you know, and you're wondering, when is it gonna stop? When am I gonna kind of get there? So I'm thinking maybe I need to manifest some of this energy. Like people have a vision board, I just, you know, in my mind, but I do that, but I guess it's patience, you know. That's just the way life is, I guess. But it's like a never ending circle. I guess it's like that for everyone, you know, whether you're famous or not, or, you know, wealthy, or, you know, it happens. I guess. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I haven't talked to a lot of people lately because I've been just pretty preoccupied. But the little that I have spoken to other people, yeah, I think it is pretty collective. We're all experiencing that, and which is good feedback to, you know, what's being shared. It just totally makes sense that, yeah. And that sense of self-gratification, like what you were just saying, I can't never remember how to say your name, Lavera. Lavera, is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Lavera.
that's it. You nailed it. Yes.
Lavera. Yeah. And so it's like you're just about there, and then it's like the rug gets pulled out, and it's like, oh man. And that self, which there isn't, self gratification, right? So that's part of it too. That's Susan going, oh gosh, I did what? Why? Because I want that self gratification that I've worked so hard towards. I have worked so hard towards. There is no real I. We're experiencing having the I, but the truth is, just like we did earlier, the combined consciousness of that one sphere, the one I am, mother, father, androgyny, the oneness. So again, that's part of the purging and the lulling to sleep of the human egoic perception of separation. That I work so hard, that I did the lawn, right? And did the lawn, I did remember some channeling from years ago where again, grass consciousness, tree consciousness, right? So instead of, oh, I've got to mow the lawn, it's an opportunity to meld with grass consciousness, which grass does have a consciousness, getting back to the, the question consciousness. So again, experiencing the one, not only as Susan riding the lawnmower, but the grass and connecting in with grass consciousness, tree consciousness, as I'm in my doingness action of father. So, yeah.
And I also tell myself, I designed this. I'm the architect of my own life before I was created, before I was born. So everything happening is part of the plan, and I just have to be patient and understand why. Eventually the answer will come to me. I kind of have to look at it like that. I designed this, so for whatever reason. Yeah.
Yes. Beautifully said, Lavera. Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mm.
And thank you again. Thank you so much. You've been very helpful today. Sir.
It was very good.
Pleasure to be here.